Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's lecture in English 111. And this week we'll be discussing reading critically, thinking analytically, and the next genre for you to consider, which are reviews. So let's first start with this idea of reading critically. What does it mean? Reading critically asks you to ask insightful and challenging questions, also to figure out why people believe some things and are skeptical of others, evaluate the reasoning, authority, and emotion in a text, also to contextualize the text culturally, ethically, and politically, and of course, analyze the text based on your own values and beliefs. Oftentimes, we are looking through a text, which means that we are reading the words and viewing the images to figure out what the author is saying. And this asks us to primarily pay attention to the content of each text, not its organization, style, or medium. Looking at a text, or why the author makes particular choices, asks us to dig a little deeper in our reading. We first want to consider the genre of the text. This includes decisions about content, organization, style, design, and medium. Also asks us to look at the persuasion strategies, the use of reason, an appeal to authority, and appeals to emotion. And finally, to look at style and diction, the use of specific words and phrasing, including uses of metaphors, irony, specialized terms, sayings, sometimes profanity, and/or slang. Reading critically is a process of looking at and through a text. Preview the text first. Look at the title and subtitle, the author, and the chapters and headings, and sometimes the visuals that accompany a text. Play the believing doubting game. Pretend to be both the author's greatest fan and harshest critic. Annotate the text. Highlight passages and take notes in the margins so that you can always come back to your notes when you reread your text. Analyze the proofs of a text. What kind of appeals to authority or ethos are being used, reasoning or logos, and/or emotion, which is pathos. Next, you're going to want to analyze your own assumptions and beliefs. What reactions do you have to a text? How do your personal beliefs influence your interpretations? And have your views changed after reading the text? Finally, you'll want to respond to it. How accurate was your initial response? Does the text meet your purposes? How well does it follow the genre it claims to be a part of? And of course, should you reread the text? Now, the next genre we will be studying in our course is the genre of the review. Writing a review is a good way to explain whether you thought something was successful or not. The first thing you're going to want to do is research, which involves gathering background information to better understand what you're reviewing. And then you're going to want to answer the 5 W and how questions. Who wrote, developed, or produced it? What is the genre of your subject? And what do people expect from this genre? When was it created? Why was it created? For what purpose? How was it made? You're going to want to follow this basic organization structure when creating your drafts for your review. First, you want to have an introduction that identifies the subject being reviewed and offers some background information on it. Make sure to state your purpose. Then you're going to want to go into description, which summarizes the subject. Assume that your readers aren't familiar with what you're talking about. Next, you'll follow with a discussion, which determines whether or not the subject meets, exceeds, or falls short of common expectations. And finally, there'll be a conclusion, which offers an overall judgment of the subject matter. Make sure your tone fits your purpose. If you are excited about what you're reviewing, then your writing should match the enthusiasm. Make sure to use plenty of detail. You want your readers to be able to imagine what you're discussing. And finally, make sure you change the pace. Mix shorter and longer sentences together. As always, if you have any questions going over this week's materials, please feel free to either post to the discussion board or email me. Have a great week.